Hi and welcome to my channel. This is DIY with Jeannie and I'm Jeannie. And what we do here is a lot of sewing, a lot of crafting, um, a lot of pretty much anything. If I can do it with my hands, I like to do it. And that includes coming up as we get cooler. I'll be working on some stained glass and making some different things like that outside. And so we'll take you outside with us to work on that. I also just recently got a laser engraver slash cutter, and I'm very excited about that. So I'll have the setup of it coming up, but it's got to be when it gets a little bit cooler. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the desert is not your friend. So it is not a place to go outside when it is hot. Although today it's not going to be that bad, it's just going to be about 97, but we have humidity, so, you know, it kind of all goes down to the same thing. But what I got was, what we're going to do today is put a backing on a panel. And I want to show you how I go about putting it on. And for this one, I am not putting batting on the inside. There won't be any interfacing because honestly, this is going to be a lot for decoration, hanging over the side of the crib, things like that. But it will be something that they can put down on the floor or on a rug or on the blanket or on the bed or couch and have a place that they can lay the baby, or they can just cover him up when he goes to sleep. So it doesn't have to be really, really heavy because, one, they live in Texas and they're not going to want a real heavy blanket for the most of the year. But it really is just kind of a decor piece, even though it will be completely functional. So this is the panel I bought, which I was very excited to get. And I was waiting to find out, boy or girl, to get the Minke Fabric, which is what this is called. And it is, oh, so soft. It's like embossed plush, if that makes any sense at all. It's just so soft. And it's got these little bumps on it, and I just love it. But like I say, I'm not putting batting in the middle, and I don't really need to. This has got a nice texture to it, nice little rise to it. But I don't want anything too heavy because, again, they don't live in a cold climate. So I want to show you how I put it together. I find this easiest for me. I don't do well with straight pins. I don't do well with sharp pins because I'm not the most... Give me something sharp and I'll bleed on it. So let's just go with that. So what I do is I want to take the panel and I want the Minky to come over it. So what we're going to do is line it up at the corner so that I'm in just about the same amount from both sides. And to put it together before I go in and sew, I'm taking safety pins because then I don't have that point always exposed. So I'm going to take this corner here. I'm just going to put our safety pin through it. You're going to let me. Come on. You can do this. Have faith in me. There you go. Just put it through and clip it. Now that is secured to that spot. And so what I can do is line this up with my little bumps and go down and secure it all the way down the edge. So we're just going to take safety pins, and that way I know it is straight on this side, so that when I get started for the rest of the sides, I know that we're straight. So if you have not had COVID, the struggle is real. So I've got those two pieces, and you see how I just wanted to get started on this side. So I've got it lined up with our little bumps, and now I want to go across the top and do the same thing. Again, I'm lining it up with that row of little bumps so that when I put my pins in, I know that I've got a straight line. I know that it is going to work out for me when I come back to sew it together. So pin there. But see, you don't have to have the pins too close together. you just want to make sure that your little line that you're pinning stays the same. Now take another safety pin, we'll put it down here, make sure I've got it nice and taut. And the thing is, it doesn't have to be real tight. You don't want the two fabrics to be too taut together, because one, they're going to shrink differently when you wash them. And even though most of what I do is pre-washed, this particular one is not. But I know the general idea of how much my cotton is going to shrink, and I know that the Minky will not shrink that much compared to it. So, our next pin in. We're almost done, and you'll see that I'm going to be fine on this side. I'm going to have to move it a little bit. I need to move this down just a hair. So I'm going to have to go back and repin those because I left a little too much on that edge. I bought a little over a yard of the Minky, and I thought it would work out fine, but it's just a little short. And I got this when I was in Oklahoma, Arkansas, at the Cripple Creek Quilt Shop is where I got this. And it is just the most adorable little panel. And I'm all about the black sheep. Not that I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily the black sheep of my family, but I'm probably the most out there of the kids in my family. So, tie. And there we go. I didn't really have to do that much. Evidently, I had left enough in there for that. So there we go. So I've got that first row done. Now I can come down and do the next rows, and we'll just keep doing that as we go down. So see, I've got that one done. Now I'm going to move down here, and I'm going to run it across the same way. And it is just a matter of keeping your fabrics lined up. When I come in over here again, I want to make sure that that is still, this side is still lined up the same amount all the way down. So we're going to come in and we're going to put a pin further down, just like we did on the opposite side. Just like so. And what we'll do is we'll go through the whole piece doing just that, so that I've got the same amount of wiggle room all the way down this side that I have all the way down this side. And you can see it is still nicely taut. I'll put a couple pins in, and then we'll move down to the next row. So let me go in and get all this pinned, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, we have all of our pieces pinned together, and so what we want to do is cut the remaining Minky that I have left over. I want to cut it about an inch, inch and a half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it along these dots here. I'm just making a cut straight across the bottom. If I can find my scissors. I don't know where they are. But I'm going to cut it straight across the bottom so that, there they are, so I can have the bulk of this fabric out of the way. So we are going to, like I said, lay it flat, and I want to cut it at just above this, or below, depending on how you're looking at it, this row of dots. So my line is the dots. See how they're staying in there? Keep moving it. Still see. work with from here. So again, back in line. All the way to the opposite side. And there we have this nice little piece of Minky that I will hang on to because I can use it either in a border pattern or in making quilt squares or something. So we'll take this piece. We never throw away scraps this big because that's a massive amount of material there. So let's get these out of the way. Now what we want to do is we basically want to tie the two layers together. And this is kind of old-fashioned quilting, country quilting. Basically what I'm going to do, and make sure it's nice and even on both sides. Yeah. Everybody's happy. We've got the same amount all the way down. So what we do here is I will probably start right here in the middle. That way, no matter what happens, it'll be going out the edges. And it is the same idea as putting tufting in, if you've ever done that. Looking for a needle. You know how that is. See, now that's what happens when I get just carried away. I had to go out. Bring it down. So I'm going to take a needle. I'm trying to line this hole up so that one of the needles can just fall out just like that. And we want to take our thread. And I don't need a huge amount because it's not like I'm sewing distance. I'm just going to be going up, down, up, down, up, down. So let's see if we can get this done. This is my biggest problem, is getting it threaded. I have threaders, but I have no idea where they are right this second. Come on. Thread wants to split on me. I have a tiny little eye on this needle and 60-year-old eyeballs in my head, and yeah, you know how that is. There we go. There we go. Yay! And the crowd goes wild. I've done that for years, and then I was noticing, I watched May Made It. If you don't watch May, she's the paper crafting queen. I'm serious, and makes some just beautiful stamps and just does some amazing things. But she did that the other day when somebody did something, and she's like, the crowd goes wild. And I thought, I've done that forever. So that was must be a southern thing. All right, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take and put up through, and then right back down in the same spot. Not the same spot, but pretty close. Now we flip it over. I've got it stuck somehow. No, I think we're good. Yeah, we're good. All right. So we've got it over, and now I am just going to tie a little knot, which I could go back through one more time, and that would be fun, but I don't have to. See, we just want to tie a knot. You're not really going to be able to see the threads, which is good. All of my cleaning things play music. You know, back in the day when you knew they were done because they quit making cleaning noises, and now they all play music. All right, so there is our first little tuft. And all I did was I made it so that the front and the back don't come apart. See, it's right there. It's just a little tiny, and you can't see it. And that's what you want. You don't want to be able to see it. You don't want to make a bunch of marks on there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep doing that across the quilt so that we're adhering, we're basically sandwiching the top and the bottom. I'm going to leave that because I can possibly tie. So there was our first one. Now we can just flatten that out, figure out where I put it, somewhere between her legs. There it is. So I want to go down, and it doesn't matter how far. You just want to do it so that when you wash it, it's easier to flip. I want to go back through, flip it over. Now I can just tie my two little pieces together. Now, if you're doing this for a grown-up, you can actually use thicker string and leave the ties. My grandmother used to make us homespun quilts that way. And okay, you can just leave these knots long or short. And see, now you can't tell from this side, which is the pretty side, which is the side you don't want to be able to tell from, that they're there. But then when I flip it over, you cannot really see them from this side unless you're looking for them. So I've got it here, and I don't know where the other one is. It's in there somewhere. Here, there's one, here's one. So there are my two knots. And we're just going to keep doing that as we go across until we get all of this top area. And really, you don't have to go past this border line, because all you really are trying to do is get this knot to move around on you. And you can put as many knots or as few knots as you want in there. And I will probably put quite a few. I just want to keep it nice and flat on the side. And so that when I go to put my border on, which I'm hoping I have enough of this to just wrap over and over like so. So I'll fold it in and then sew it down so that I've got a nice little border on both sides like this. And that is my plan. Now, once I get it all tufted, then we'll see how that plan's going to play out. But that is all we do now. And this is going to take you a minute. So, as I said, we've got all of this area. I'm probably going to do them closer together than I have the pins. That one does not really, that needs to be a little further down. There we go. And as you're doing it, feel free to move these pins, because it's not going to look as flat until you start to do that. So I'm going to keep going in, putting little tufts. I'll probably go ahead and start here, go up the side. I imagine I'll do it every 5 or 6 inches, and then go in and probably put it at a triangle point. From these two, it'll go into the middle. I may go all the way down here and then start doing the triangle point, but that's really kind of my plan right now, is that way I know every bit of it's not going to move around on me. I'm not going to have rows that bunch or anything like that. So let me get that part, and then I will come back and we will look at our next, our border will be in our next part. So off to go do this part, and I'll be back. Okay, I have tacked the front to the back, and I'm going to show you the back to explain how this works. So all I did was I clipped it together, had it straight on there, and I went through and just sewed a loop through the two, and then I can cut it way down and you won't see it. You don't see it here. I mean, you can see it a little bit. If you really look, you can see it. But you don't see it here either, because it's just a tiny little stitch. And we can go back, and I'm going to cut all of these off, but I wanted you to see how it's kind of random, but it's also kind of exactly spaced. So it was enough that I'm keeping the front tacked to the back. So what we want to do now is we want to go back to our sewing machine, but we are going to fold, you can see it, fold the hem over and then fold it over again, and we are going to sew just inside this turn so that we get a little border that kind of shows on both sides. So once it's sewn, it's going to look like a little hemmed border on both sides. Now for the corners, I know there's an easy way to do this. I just can't remember what it is. To get a mitered corner, I think you just fold it in, and we're going to fold this guy over and over, and that's not it. Okay, so let's try this. No, that's not it. It's really simple the way that I've seen it done, and yet my brain cannot fathom it at the moment. So I might end up just folding in, and it still gives me a nice little corner there. So you can see, still gives me a good corner. So I'm going to turn at a 90. I'm going to cut into both corners here. Turn it around the edge so that I get this side. And again, we just want to go through, fold, fold. Clip it down so that we can go back and sew right at this edge. We're not going to do more than about 1/8 of an inch. Now, because this has a pattern, a full pattern, you could use it as a wall hanging, but you can also hang it over the edge of the bed. You can use it for the baby to lay on. Later on, it could be even a floor blanket for them. But this is just a really cute and decorative, but easy blanket to make. And I got very lucky. I found the flannel panel. And then once you know the gender, just pick the Minke Fabric, or if they want to go with neutral colors, just get, Minky makes this really pretty beige color. And Minky is just this fabric with the little bumps on it. It's just what it's called. I don't know why. That's what the designer wanted to call it, I guess. I'm not real sure, but it's basically embossed. It is, so see, it's been embossed on one side with heat. And will they flatten? Sort of. They will sort of flatten. But it's never going to get too awfully flat. You're always going to be able to see those little dots. What I'm going to do is go around all the sides, all 4 sides. Get us all pinned up. And by pinned, I mean clipped, because I don't want to bleed on this. And I did stab myself yesterday, but fortunately, oddly enough, I stabbed myself in the leg with scissors. Don't ask. It takes a very special person to stab themselves with their scissors in the leg. So, and I have that gift. So we're going to go through, get all of this done. This side's a little close because I thought when I tacked it, I had it. And then when I got through sewing it, or when I pinned it, I thought I had it perfect. And when I got through sewing it, turns out I didn't. So it's still fine. You gotta make sure you keep it flat. It is just about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm just folding over a tiny bit and then folding that next piece over. So this border is going to be a little smaller on this particular side. But at the end of the day, nobody's going to measure. So, all right. Let me finish this up and get it sewn, and I will show you our finished project. Okay. I sewed all the way around the edges, and you can see it left a nice border on both sides. And now we're going to go through and cut off all of our little strings that we have everywhere. But again, I did it with this light colored thread just like I did the inside, so you really can't see it. Let's flip it over. Cut our strings off, and I can get it ready to go to my son. And I hope you like this one. We will get back to crafting. I know that last time I posted something a little different. This is our blanket, and like I said, I'm just going through and cutting these little threads off, and that will be it for this. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I did this, going through the process. It is very time consuming to get these little knots, but you do it while you're watching TV, and it goes pretty quick. So hopefully you will join us next time. I will be doing a craft that I need to practice for school. I'm teaching a crafting class this year as well, and so I will be looking for ideas to work with the kids. So hopefully you will enjoy those as well. That'll be upcoming. And I know we didn't get a lot of Christmas in July. COVID was not my friend this summer. I still have the cough, which is most annoying, and all of the snotness of it all. But yeah, I'm better than I was, and I'm able to stay awake all day. So I guess that's a positive. But I did cut way into my summer, and I didn't get all of the things that I really wanted to get done. And I know I neglected y'all at the same time. So here we have this. I think we are really close to done. Come back here, you little. My little thread did not want to cut. And I'll run across it with a lint roller to make sure I got all of these off. And get it washed and sent off. And I hope, like I said, I hope you enjoyed it. This Minky is fabulous stuff. It's so soft. And then this side is flannel. It's just a panel that I found at a quilt store. It's called the Cripple Creek store. It's in Arkansas, on the border of Oklahoma. So if you are in that neck of the woods, go say hi to them. And I hope to see you next time when you can spend a little more time with us and we can do something completely different. So there is our blanket. And appreciate your time. And if you have not already subscribed, please hit that little subscribe button. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, please ask them. I don't show y'all me sewing the straight line because I don't, one, I don't have the camera set up for it, but also it is not my intent at this time to teach you to use a sewing machine. That is a whole nother thing, but everything I do for the most part is straight or curved hems, And there we go. There's our blanket. Thank y'all for coming, and I hope to see you next time.